Hello everybody, my name is Arturo and today I'm going to be discussing the lesson plan for the EdTPA that was provided to us. So basically, I'm going to first discuss the blank lesson plan. Basically, the blank part of the lesson plan tells us what should go and what the expectations are. On top of here, this is just the basics like name of the teacher, the title of the lesson plan, the subject, and the grade level, and how long the lesson plan should last. Right here, the central focus of the unit basically focuses on the causes of a particular event in history. For example, if a teacher is going to be discussing about the rise and fall of communism, or the collapse of the Berlin Wall, etc., etc. Right here, the related skills. This should be on the skills that students should have, like literary skills. The literary skills should be that when they analyze primary and secondary sources, uh, they'll be able to have some idea what's about and what's expected, uh, but also acquire knowledge if this is the first time a student has ever analyzed a primary or secondary source. Right here on the standards, basically you can include the state standards in social science, and you can put the common core standards that relate to that particular um, method. This is most especially if a teacher has students who are of ESL. The instructional objective, instructional learning objectives right here. This part just focuses on what the students should have in mind when being taught a lesson. For example, they need to have the knowledge of identifying, explain, and analyzing. This part where it says assessments, this can be done for both formal and informal. For example, in the informal part, this could be like class discussion, um, or seminar type, or like a Q&A format. When it comes to the formal part, this basically has to be an assignment that will likely be graded towards a student's grade. It can be like a written assessment, or some sort of a graphic organizer, or fill in the blanks. As I've seen throughout the time I have been observing uh, and tutoring students, the language function right here. This is basically like the learning standards and the type of vocabulary that's gonna focus on the lesson plan, like the key terms basically, and or some phrases that a student might not be familiar with. Resources and material. This is just what the materials or resources that a teacher might use, like computers, primary, secondary sources, worksheets, textbook, etc., etc. Right here, student prior knowledge. This is the part where we're gonna do kind of like a preview of what's coming in that particular lesson plan. Like, for example, as I said, if we were discussing the collapse of the Berlin Wall and communism, we just go and talk about the foreign policy, uh, Reagan, Gorbachev summits, and the protests that happened in late 1989. Um, right here, this area right here, instruction, transition, and hook. this area, this whole part of the lesson plan just focus on how to address the lesson, how much time should be dedicated, but also uh, uh, what the key objective of the lesson plan is. Um, what else we're gonna discuss? Uh, uh, we're gonna discuss like special learning targets, I believe, around this lesson plan. Uh, uh, right here, differentiating. This basically is just a section that focuses on students who might have an IEP and how to best approach the lesson plan, or for students whose uh, second language is English. And right here, this is basically like how can we best improve the lesson plan and the outcome of that historical event, and assess students if they have mastered the objectives of the teacher in that particular lesson plan. Now I'm going to go over a lesson plan that was provided to us. Basically, the lesson plan right here focuses on 10th grade world history, the causes of World War II. The credential candidate stated that his lesson plan should be 90 minutes. He did focus on what the main content and the main focus of the lesson will be. He did focus on adding standards, both social science and Common Core standards, I believe, but also a standard that's aimed for students who are English learners. Right here, he did put some key vocabularies uh, that educators and students need to be familiarized with, identify, explain, and analyze. And as I said in the previous document, like the informal, formal type of discussion, informal like class discussion, and more like a seminar type, basically just like a lecture. Right here, the daily inquiry, which I didn't go over, but the way I see it is basically what the student should know by the end of the lesson plan or by the end of the day. Vocabulary, the vocabulary part, that's if I didn't go over it, I do apologize. Basically, the main vocabulary that's going to be part of the lesson plan. I see that the credential candidate right here added nationalism, imperialism, Great Depression, fascism. So basically, these are the keywords that students need to be familiarized with when learning about fascism in Europe. The misconception part, basically, this part right here is like if students don't know what we're gonna be talking about, they might think that, oh, they're talking about World War II. Maybe every country fought in World War II, but the teacher will be able to tell students that no, only a few countries fought in World War II, yet the main fighting took part throughout the globe. Right here, the credential candidate stated how long his lesson plan should be, what the teacher and students are going to be doing throughout each section of of the lesson plan and what's expected of them by the end of the lesson plan or during the lesson plan. I see that the credential candidate right here focus on student participation, class discussion, discussing about the key players in World War II, and the analyzing of documents. Again, the teacher, the credential candidate, also put right here that to check if the student understands what the lesson plan's about. And I think the teacher candidate did a pretty good job in creating this lesson plan, such as putting additional information for students who have an IEP or who are English learners, and how much time should be dedicated to concluding the lesson plan, such as turn in the assignment for your grade, and the resource and materials, basically what the resources are going to be, which ranges from primary sources, secondary sources, to the organizers, and the use of technology. This is my take on a lesson plan, and thank you for listening.